Hi, welcome to Aspects of Energy. I'm Elaine Brewster, and this is a forum where we talk about ways to raise your energy. The foremost storyteller, the grandpa of storytelling in America is Donald Davis. And he said, "You are the museum of your own life. If you don't share, how will anyone know about it?" There was a really strange phenomenon that happened as soon as this book came out and it was in print and I could hold it. It's not a story of my whole life, and it's not a story of my husband's whole life. It is a story. But having this in print, all of a sudden I looked at every single other person I passed by and I started wondering what their story was. And I very, very much wanted to read and to learn about their stories. In fact, the self-publishing company, this happens to be the same company that Ben Woodward used for his book, The Empowerment Paradox. Their mantra is, everyone has a story. And they also would love to see everyone put their story in print. So today, I would like you to consider sharing something of your life with us. Our first response of people is often, "Oh, I don't have anything to share," or "I haven't done anything interesting." But you know what? Every single one of you grew up differently than I did. And I want to know what it was like. I want to know what being you is like. I want to know some kind of experience that made you you. So our only constraint here today is these stories are going to be short. They're 5 minutes. And after 5 minutes, I take my little shepherd's crook and I pull you off the stage. Okay, so I'm not going to let anyone go on forever and ever. But let's start with Lorraine, and we just want to hear a little bit about you. And Lorraine just disappeared from my screen.
Okay. Hi, I'm Lorraine. I live in British Columbia, Canada. And as I grew older, I realized I really needed to take ownership of my health. I was raised and educated on a small Saskatchewan farm. I trained as a psychiatric nurse working in Canada, England, Switzerland. And 30 years ago, I had some health issues, and I know I needed to look at my alternatives. So a few years later, when I was introduced to a company, a Japanese company that had a philosophy of humans being more health by choice and not by chance, I really took advantage of that. And over the years of using the products, and I wrote my story in notes and clippings, and it was an account of my adventures in life. I realized a lot of people like you, Elaine, really touched me. There was all little miracles that happened, and the people were, it was just mind-boggling. So I know that every person that you enters your life and everything that happens is for a purpose. And I must say that in the last few years, I said, so after I wrote my autobiography, I said, gee, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? So now I am promoting wellness. I have a weekly call called Wellness Gathering, linked up with my daughter, and we've been pursuing different subjects. And I'm just like the energy bunny. I go tickety tick, tickety tick. So, and at 4 o'clock in the morning, my angel comes and sprinkles new ideas, and I wake up enthusiastic with all these new ideas. So I think I'm very blessed to be developed a wellness home, having the products that I've engaged in, and it's just been a wonderful life. And I really feel that I want to continue to promote wellness. Thank you for asking me to share my story.
That's wonderful, Lorraine. We do have a little bit more time because you were talking really fast, lady.
Well, it's hard to tell where 5 minutes is up.
I know. Can you tell us a little bit more about the idea of being a nurse, having that kind of training, and then using more natural solutions? And also, what is a wellness home?
Yeah. Well, training as a psychiatric nurse when you're in early 20s, and I'm fresh from the farm, I mean, I didn't know how to relate to people, but somehow I got my 3 years training. But the experience of just deciding to go to work in England in a different hospital and hitchhike around Europe and run out of money, and then finding another job in Switzerland as we're hitchhiking, we found another job. And those are miracles to work there. I really grew in understanding that. And of course, when I returned to Saskatchewan, I went to work with the psych service department and things. So I learned along the way. But when you train as a psychiatrist, and it was, back in the late 50s and early 60s. So the treatment was not modified like it was then. It was straight electroshock treatment and medication and locked doors and lots of big institutions. So it's entirely different from what is done now. And at that time when I was training, I didn't understand the word of it. So when as you know, you want to talk about the wellness home. Well, what do you want in a wellness home? You want good water to drink, you get sleep, nutrition, energy, and just feeling good and clean air to breathe. And it's just been a blessing. And of course, now I live in a trailer, so I've taken my wellness home on the road in the trailer. And I'm so blessed that, living in British Columbia where there's so much fires last summer. And I think, thank goodness I had a wellness home to have that sanctuary of being in nature inside your house. So that's the wellness home.
Okay. So better air, you have an air filter, better water, 2 of them. You have a water filter, so it's giving you the best kind of water. And sleep, you mentioned sleep.
And energy.
And energy, sweet. Yeah. Okay, Lorraine, thank you. Let us have Becky.
All right, I actually timed this and wrote it out. So
sweet.
This is it. I would like to share a story of finding and marrying my husband. It all started back when I was in 5th grade. I remember sitting by a cute boy named Don Draper, and I thought to myself, who am I going to marry? The name Steve came to my mind. I never told anybody for fear that they would think I just made it up. When I was in high school, unbeknownst to me, my mother called one of my friends and asked her to line me up with someone because she was concerned that I wasn't dating. Little did she know, it would still be 12 more years before I would marry. At one point, I dated a guy that I really liked, but it would not end up working out. And I was struggling with sadness and moving forward. I went to a sacred place and prayed for comfort and guidance. As I pondered, the words of a special priesthood blessing I had been given came to my mind. Suddenly, I heard in my mind that I had chosen my companion in the pre-existence. I knew the Lord would guide me to him. This gave me great comfort and hope. After a few years, I grew impatient still. I developed a condition called endometriosis that I had to have surgery for. I was told if I didn't hurry and get married and start my family, I wouldn't be able to have children. This was a great concern. And of course, what could I do about it? It would still be 3 more years. Then one day, my brother told me he knew someone he would like to introduce me to, but he wasn't sure if he was divorced yet. I said, well, then I don't want to meet him. But then my brother's wife had the feeling she needed this same man and I to get together. She called me and said he would be speaking in church that Sunday, and I should come and check him out. She told me his name was Steve. This piqued my interest. So what is funny about that point, I had a friend that I grew up with whose name was the same as mine. And I got a wedding announcement from her, and she was marrying a Steve. And I remember saying out loud, that Becky got my Steve. Anyway, I went to church and was introduced to him briefly. He called me that night and we talked for an hour and scheduled our first date. We went to a Chinese restaurant, and as we ate and talked, there was a family that was sitting right by us. And Steve mentioned how hard and sad it was to be away from his children and how much he missed them. He had 4 children, and that made me sad for him. We enjoyed our time together so much that we went to a place to rent a VCR and went to my house to watch a movie. That tells you how old I am. So, knowing he was barely divorced, my plan was to give him lots of space. But things would happen rather quickly. He would take a different child every weekend. So for the next 3 weeks, I would meet a different child. We had taken the third one back to his mom's house, and we went up to a park that had a stream. And while there, his foot slipped into the water. We went to his house to change his shoes, and he came out and sat down next to me, and suddenly my heart started pounding out of my chest, and I could hardly breathe. And I just said, "Oh my gosh." And he was like, "What?" I basically tried to explain my experience to him and let him know he was Mr. Right. I hadn't even met child number 4 yet. To sum it all up, his divorce was final April 9th. We met April 19th, got engaged May 19th, and got married August 7th, 1987. I was 31 when we got married. This year, we have been together for 35 years. We had 4 more children and have 19 grandchildren, 2 more on the way, and 1 great grandchild so far.
My goodness, that's wonderful. I've never heard that. You know, that reminds me of a story. I used to, when I was bored in school, I would just draw, you know, we all doodle. And so this one day I drew a picture of a wedding ring. It was kind of involved, and it sort of had like an S shape to it. And it was really, really pretty, and I really liked it. And then on some of those old doodlings, I would cut them out and I would keep them in a box. And then when I got married, then I brought all of this stuff from my mom's house, you know, and it was just in this closet, in this shelf up in the closet. Well, I'm skipping the gun. So when we went to look for wedding rings, my husband was going to go into base camp, is that what they call it? And he really, really wanted to get a ring before he left, so that we were really, really officially engaged. And I looked at them, and they were all nice. Hello, they're all diamonds, but they weren't what I wanted. I didn't know what I wanted. I just knew that I'd recognize it when I saw it. And so then we went to another store, and they were all nice, you know, they're diamonds, but it wasn't what I wanted. And now it was 10 minutes to 6, and the stores were closing at 6, and we could choose one store, but not both of them. And so I chose one, and I said, let's go to this store. And we went back to it, and they brought out the same trays that we'd seen the day before or earlier that day, whenever. And I'm feeling this pressure from my husband wanting to get a ring. And then all of a sudden the man said, "Oh, we just got a new tray of diamonds today. And so he brought it out, and there was my ring. And I knew it. And I said, that one, I want the band a little thicker, but it's that one. And so I really enjoyed this ring. It was like my ring. Well, when I was cleaning out this box in my closet after I got married, this one piece of paper about 2 inches by 2 inches dislodged itself and floated down. I've had that happen 2 times. And I looked at it, and it was virtually the ring that I was wearing.
That is so cool.
And I had designed it when I was 14 and totally forgot about it. Just kind of like that Steve name of yours.
Yep.
Okay, Dawn Marie, tell us a little about Dawn Marie.
Well, as I'm listening to your stories and realizing manifestations do come to pass, and I truly believe that in 2008, my life shifted, and I didn't know how and what I was going to do to recover from it. Well, in 2008, I was going through a divorce. My mother had just been diagnosed with cancer, and I was just heartbroken. I had one set of emotions on one hand and the other set of emotions on the other hand. But lo and behold, a group of women came to me and said, you know what, we're gonna write a book, and we would love for you to be a part of this book. So I had the opportunity to be a co-author with a group of women, and we wrote a book called Celebration of Womanhood. And in this book, my mom and I got to tell our stories. And it was such a shift in my life that I just, every time I think about it, I just know that when you put what you put out there will come back to you. So I was able to tell my story about going through the divorce, about having to be my mother's caregiver at a very crucial time in her life. I'd been working a full-time job and having favor to be able to leave my job to go and take care of my mom during that time was such an important factor to me being able to take care of her as a single woman. Well, in my journey of being able to tell my story, I titled it A New Direction and Still Trusting God, because had I not had a personal relationship with the Lord, none of it would have been, I don't think I would have been able to handle any of it because of the way that it all came about at the same time. And because it happened at the same time, I knew that I had to trust God to get through it. So I was able to write my story about going through that period of my life. My mom was able to share her story about her going through cancer and having 3 girls and being a single mom and raising these 3 girls and just being so proud of how each one of her daughters had reached the level of success that they had reached. But the thing that really gave me comfort in being able to share our stories was that my mother was dealing with cancer and having to go through all these various treatments of getting a port, having to decide whether or not she was going to have surgery, and just being alone. She was a single woman. So being alone through this process, just watching her gave me so much strength and so much comfort, and knowing that all things are possible if you just trust the Lord. And that was her testimony. Just trust the Lord, and I know that I'm going to be okay. And hearing her say that gave me the strength to continue to do what I had to do, as hard as it was to watch her go through that, but to be there for her, to have favor on my job, to be able to take her to her appointments, and to spend time with her when we got back from her treatment, to be able to sit with her and have her to jot down her story, which was such a godsend because it gave her so much peace at the end of knowing that she was able to tell her story and that it was something that she never would have imagined that she could have done, but she did it. And the both of us were able to, as I said, be a part of this group of authors in this book. And every time I pick this book up, it brings me so much comfort in knowing that my mother got to tell her story at a most critical time in her life and at a most critical time in my life when I thought my world was going to come to an end. Fast forward to where I am today, and to have a group of women who are doing some amazing things still shows me that if you just trust God, all things are possible. Having these amazing products to keep me healthy, to keep me vibrant, to keep me living a life that I believe my mother would be so proud of, the fact that I'm still moving forward and trusting the process of good health, because she was an advocate for having great health. We don't know where the cancer came from, but she had great health, walking, eating right. And so with these products that have come into my life, it has just given me so much inspiration to be able to help other women to find natural products that will heal them and not cause any side effects. So Elaine, thank you for allowing me to share my story. I've not shared that with anyone. So thank you for giving me this moment to reflect on my story with my mom.
Thank you, Dawn Marie. All I can say is hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Wow, that's super. And I want your story, and I want Lorraine's. I want your book, and I want Lorraine's book. Okay, Hattie Jane, are you going to share with us?
I am. And may I share screen?
Yeah.
Give, I don't know if this is going to work. We'll have to see. Because what I want to do is bring up a picture that kind of shares.
Participants can now see your screen.
That's you sharing.
That's me sharing. Stop share.
Yeah, stop share, and I'll start to see if I can. Okay. No, you've disabled the screen sharing.
I have two more.
You find it?
I have found it in the past. Share screen. Multiple participants can share simultaneously.
That sounds okay.
One participant, whatever. I don't know. Is it doing anything?
Yes, I can do it now. I can do it now. Cool. And this is bless your heart. Are you seeing?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Let me see more people. Oh, there I am. Okay. It's not perfect, but what I want to bring it up because it talks about the chakra system that is known a lot about and followed a lot because it has to do with generating energy and how energy is passed through the body and how balancing within those systems create a whole balance within the body. Now, this is not a story of the chakras as themselves. It is a story of my experiencing and following through with energy. When, as a nurse, as I worked medical surgical floors at the bedside, as you all may remember in years past, we had a lot of from the aides going around and giving bed baths, back rubs, so people could relax and get relax after a difficult day and get rest. Well, we had awareness in that time. Also, well, you couldn't tell them what their blood pressure was, even if you knew it, even as you were taking it. That wasn't allowed. You couldn't tell them much of anything about medical. That wasn't allowed. That was another person needed to do that. So we were limited. However, we continue administering and helping a great deal of different ways of giving people comfort and health and relaxation in their stressful days of being hospitalized for whatever condition. And the reason I bring it up is because we kind of labeled it as therapeutic touch after Kubler-Ross days, in which she brought death as an acceptance within to talk about, to acknowledge, to be a part of life. And those people who were facing it possibly more intimate than we know about, because we could have gone out and gotten hit. It'd be right there for us. But we didn't talk about it in those days, and it was brought out this was being a disservice. The people needed to be able to talk about it. But in ministering to people and helping, the therapeutic touch came about, and a way of talking about this energy aspects that have also known within the chakra system. And you yourself, I've often told people, you can express by rubbing your hands and then moving your hands together and see, just imagine to see and feel like there's a little soft puddle or a piece of hair or a soft bunny between your hands, and just see it, just be aware that it exists. And then in time, you can extend it as you feel it because it's there. And what my awareness was in dealing with patients, because we were doing a lot of hands-on care, is that I was able to help people feel more comfortable. I was going on basically body alignment and doing things, but people responded and they felt better. And people who were perceived to be in extreme short-term, well, they're going to die soon. And I administered it and just felt like I wanted to make the person comfortable. And I felt she wasn't going to pass as soon as expected. And that what happened. So this subtle awareness of energy, I went into massage therapy and they gave me names for it and introduced it and introduced the different systems in which we access it. One time it was explained that practitioners learn to recognize different things, because just like we visualize the earth, well, I'm sitting in here and out there's a street, and with GPS I can see it going further and further. And if I get up in a drone nowadays, well, I can see the tops of the trees and I can see around the area. But if I'm in an airplane, I can see even further apart. If I get in a real tall airplane, I can even see the Earth curve on the airplane. And then if you get up in the space shuttle, you see the globe. And so that in some aspects is how they explained why there are different systems within our awareness that we can access as we are capable of it, to recognize the energy that we have within our own bodies. That's working from a practitioner's viewpoint of how can another person access the energy that the person has to facilitate movement of that energy into a healthier balance in a physical or emotional state. And there are many different ones, and it's just fascinating. But the other factor was that is another part of what I really, really appreciate about the gentleman from Japan who took the awareness of that we do have energy within our fields, and we can access, and others can access it ourselves, or others can help us. And took it to space age, because the space age should become aware that that human beings needed magnetic field. That when we went up in space, the early cosmonauts became extremely weak, and some very detrimentally weak.
Yeah.
When they came back, and they recovered, but they were weak when they came back in. And teasing part was it, they added the touch of the magnetic, and they no longer had that extreme drain that caused them the skeletal muscle drain on themselves. So that was neat. So he combined that, feel he combined that awareness with being able to manufacture something that when they came in from a heavy work day, and when they work hard, as we all do. But they came in and they could slide it into their soji shops. I can't pronounce it properly, but it's a specific footwear that you wear at home. You don't wear out in the garden. You wear only in the house, and so everything's kept very clean and very comfortable. And also the Japanese don't have internal piping like we do. they don't have the type of heating we have. So everything's very cool, and they account for it. So that combination of things, because it is a something that he used, and it could give him this feeling of calmness, relaxation, and a second wind. He was able to enjoy his family and his new baby, and just enjoy life so much better. And he thought, well, maybe there's a market for this. Maybe other people would feel the same. And that grew into a large wellness product that all of us are aware of. Um, and it's an exciting time. And I love it because it is external. So people can put it on their bodies for their own needs, whatever they are, and they get relief. They take it off, and they find out they need it more. They put it back. And inside the heart and the head, oh, well, here's the head, here's the heart in the head. They become aware that this kind of what was sounding like woo, 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 wee has a really honest base in our physical bodies. So I'm excited about that idea, because I know what comfort my people felt. I know what comfort I felt in the ministry, and I just think it's going to be really neat in years to come to see how we start to tease apart a lot of our problems in many different areas. Thank you.
Thank you. How do we get this screen share changed again?
I go out, I stop sharing.
Oh, do you? Look at
Yeah.
that. Thank you. That is so interesting. And I always love your perspective. And some of you, who were nurses certainly have a perspective, that I don't have. You want to see comfortable though? Let me see if I can do this.
Where is she? There he is. Definitely.
That is my daughter's dog. I was not happy to have him here during this time, but he is very comfortably just going to sleep. Let me tell you, in ending here, well, a double experience, maybe. I have a friend, well, I won't read it, but I have a friend who, it looks like she's dying from cancer. She said that she felt like that was her best option, and we talked about it. And her sister has been coming over probably every day now to help out and see what's going on. And because of this situation, when you get so physically drawn out, then the whole thing, the brain isn't really working anymore. And so, like, she had me open her mail for her the other day, and I talked through everything, and pretty much she didn't do a thing with it. It just got opened, and then she just put it all, piled up to her side. Well, by the time the sister came in the evening, expecting to go through her mail, the mail had not only been opened up, but half of it was now in the garbage can, which is not, where I had let her put it. And, utility bills that hadn't been paid and stuff. And so this poor sister was so beside herself that she texted me until 12:30 at night. And then the next day sent a great big long text telling me and everyone else, not getting mad or anything, but just telling me and everyone else, this is what I need you to do. When you go there, I've created a booklet outside. Even if you just go visit her, I want you to sign it. I hope this isn't offensive. I mean, it went on and on and on and on, because that's where she is right now. And I recognized that, because that's where I've been too, having to talk too much, having to say too much. And really, all she needed to do was say, hey, everyone who comes and visits, I have a book outside. I would like you to write down how she responded to you, what you did, period. and we would have gotten the message. So relating that to my story, because of being blessed by all of your lives and the things that we're learning, and we had a convention and read the Steve Covey book, and so anyway, I had a 18 and a half, almost 19-year-old grandson who all of a sudden needed to come and stay at my house. And normally in the past, I would have gone, I'm your Grammy. Of course you can come. And then 1 month, 2 months, a year later, you're going, how long is this going to last? Just everything. And this time I was able to say, I would love to have you come. Let's talk about it. And so then we did. And his mother talked to me also, and she said, it's really just for a few days. So I knew it wasn't forever. So I kind of asked him, and I said, that will be fine. Just made some general parameters. And then that night at about 9 or 9:30, he texted me and he said, hey, Grandma, I'm doing something with some friends. That's probably why he's in trouble anyway, is because of friends. Anyway, hey, Grandma, I'll be in about midnight. And I said, texting him back, when you're staying at someone else's house, you need to adhere by their rules. I need to go to bed. So I would like you home by 10, because that's when I start getting ready for bed, 10:30 at the latest. And no, I didn't. I said 10:30, but 11 at the latest. That's what I said. And he went, oh, okay. That was like news to him. And he got in at 10 o'clock that night. And I was so proud of myself. My older daughter tells me, lots of times in the past, she said, that's mean. What you just said was mean, Mom. And I say, I wasn't trying to be mean. I was trying to be definite. Because when you're wishy-washy over on this side, then when you try and be definite, what do? You gotta go clear to the other side. Anyway, that was my story. I was so proud that I was just able to just give him some limits, and it was because of being with all of you and these kinds of things that we're learning. Well, in ending, Rudy Ruettiger came and spoke at one of our high schools yesterday on St. Patrick's Day. And yes, he is that Rudy who was played by Sean Astin. He was a walk-in, remember, at Notre Dame, and he was in one game that he would only ever get in. And on the last play, he sacked the Boston quarterback. And so he talks about persistence and, and working hard for things. His story, like the ones that you've just written, his story changed Kobe Bryant's life. It is so fun how we all, work with each other. Anyway, he said, have courage to move toward your dream. And then he said, everybody's a Rudy. Everybody's a Rudy. We all have our struggles and obstacles. We just have to move forward and get through one. No one's given a free pass. So thank you very much for being in my life and, and helping all of us to, as we share our story, to just be able to take another step forward, another couple of steps forward, and be a help in other people's lives. So appreciate you all so much, and let's all go out and find some wonderful people that we can smile at with our faces and with our voices, and that will raise their energy, and it'll raise ours too. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Elaine.
Thanks.